All right, welcome back, text detectives. If you're looking to unlock maximum marks on your Cambridge Stage 6 English checkpoint exam, you're in the exact right place. Today on The Explainer, we're diving into a Smart Path Academy guide to learn how to hunt for very specific, hidden clues inside literally any text you read. By the end of this session, you won't just be casually reading a story, you'll be actively investigating it, spotting the exact evidence the examiners want to see.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for mastering skill 36 today. What is genre? Spotting text clues, perfect exam answers, step-by-step examples, past paper-style practice, and finally, a recap and challenge. Let's get to it.
Section 1. What exactly is genre? Let's define our target.
So, simply put, genre really just means the text type or the story type that you're reading. Are you reading a sci-fi adventure, a scary story, maybe an encyclopedia entry? Now, the golden rule for Cambridge examiners is this. When they ask you to identify features of a genre, you absolutely must look for the big, general features of the text. You can't just rely on one tiny, isolated detail from the extract. It's like a giant puzzle. One single piece isn't enough to crack the case, right? We really need to step back and look at the whole big picture of what the text is actually trying to do.
Section 2. Spotting text clues. And this brilliantly illustrates the terminology we need.
Okay, this is absolutely crucial. Think of this as your ultimate terminology bank. You definitely want to memorize this vocabulary. If you suspect a text is horror, well, you need to write down keywords like fear, shock, nightmare, or maybe a scary setting. For a real-life story, the examiners want to see phrases like possible events or realistic characters. If we're talking fantasy, look out for impossible events and a magical world. And if you're tackling an information report, your main clues are going to be facts, a third-person perspective, and a formal style. Using these exact words, that is exactly what secures your marks for sure.
Moving right along to Section 3, perfect exam answers. It's all about writing exactly what they want. To snag those full marks, you're going to need 3 exact habits. First up is accuracy. This means choosing those precise words from the terminology bank we just went over. Don't just say, oh, it's weird. Say, it features impossible events. Second is evidence. If you claim a text is a report, you absolutely must match that with an exact detail from the text, like pointing out a specific fact. And third, your own words. When the prompt asks for this, please don't just copy a huge chunk of the paragraph. Keep it focused and never, ever add extra irrelevant details that just aren't in the original text. Now pay very close attention here, detectives, because this is a massive mark scheme trap. Think about the difference between acceptable and unacceptable answers. If you're reading a realistic fiction story about a boy named Mason and the examiner asks for a genre feature, do not write the characters are real. I mean, Mason is a made-up character in a story, right? He's not actually breathing. Instead, you gotta write characters could be real. That one tiny word, could, shows you truly understand how realistic fiction works. And honestly, that is exactly what Cambridge rewards. So, when you get your practice papers back, you might spot some of these codes from your teacher. And trust me, you want to avoid these at all costs. EX means your answer was just way too general. EV means you completely forgot your text evidence. OW? That means you copied too much instead of using your own words. IR is for adding irrelevant details, basically making stuff up. QL means your quote was way too long, so keep it short and sharp. And finally, TM means you panicked and ticked too many boxes. Just stay calm, rely on the clues, and keep those answers exact. Section 4, step-by-step examples. Let's move to and see how this builds our detective skills in action. Okay, let's take a look at text A. The classroom clock began to melt, and the numbers floated into the air like black insects. Notice how we kind of mentally highlight the clues as we read? A melting clock? Well, that's an impossible event. Numbers floating like black insects? That is definitely a strange and slightly scary image. Just like that, we've gathered our evidence. So how do we write this out perfectly? Notice how short and sweet a model answer should be. For question 1, which genre is most likely? Our answer would be fantasy or horror, depending on where the rest of the story goes. For question 2, give 2 features. We just pulled directly from those mental highlights. 1, impossible event. 2, scary image. Boom. Full marks. Short, accurate, and completely backed up by the text itself. Now let's check out text C. The Arabian oryx lives in desert areas and can survive long periods with little water. Its pale coat reflects sunlight. Notice what's completely missing here. There are no characters, no dialogue.
Instead, what we have is purely factual information about a real animal written in a very clear, third-person, formal style.
Translating that into our exam answers, question 1, which text type is this? Well, it's an information report. And question 2, give 2 features. We just jot down exactly what we observed. 1, factual information, and 2, third person or formal style. See how we're using the exact terminology from our bank earlier? This hits the nail on the head for what the mark scheme is looking for.
Section 5, Past Paper Style Practice. Let's really put those skills to the test now.
Take a look at this excerpt from a text called Lucy's Nightmare. She sat up in bed, panting. What a horrible, peculiar dream. She pulled the bedclothes. Here, the text gives us someone waking up panting from a horrible dream. That's a nightmare, and it definitely generates fear. Plus, she's in her bed, which is a very familiar setting, but suddenly it's feeling incredibly scary. Now, what's really interesting about this is how simple it actually becomes when you know the formula. Which genre is this? Horror, for sure. Give 1 feature, you literally just write nightmare or scary setting. You do not need to write a whole paragraph over-explaining why she's scared. Just hand the examiners the precise genre feature they asked for in a short, punchy phrase. Next up, let's dive into an excerpt from Kensuke's Kingdom. I am alive. I am well. I live on an island. I do not know where. Come and find me. Okay, so this is an adventure story, sure. But look closely at the clues. Someone stranded on an island? That is a perfectly possible event. A person writing a message asking to be found? That's a highly realistic character action. Absolutely no magic going on here. So let's map this out. Which genre is most likely? A real-life story. And give 2 features. Well, think about the first model answer we'd use. Characters could be real. Remember that massive trap we talked about earlier? You absolutely must write could be real, not are real. Number 2, events could happen. If you're using these phrases, you are straight up writing like a top-tier Cambridge student. Section 6, Recap and Final Challenge. Time to see everything we've learned. All right, here is your Master Text Detective checklist to review before heading into your exam. First, always spot the general features, not just one tiny detail. Next, match the clues you find directly to our official terminology bank. Make sure you provide exact evidence to dodge those pesky EX and EV error codes. Keep your quotes incredibly short and accurate. And please, whatever you do, remember, characters could be real. Okay, here is your final challenge. Read text B along with me and try to solve this one in your head. Mason had to decide whether to tell his teacher the truth about the broken window. His friends watched silently. Think about the setting here. Think about the problem. Think about the clues we just pulled out. What's your official detective diagnosis? So the crucial point is matching those everyday school problems to our framework. The answer for question 1 is definitely real-life story. And for question 2, your 2 features are 1, characters could be real, and 2, an event that could happen in a school. If you nailed that, you have officially mastered Cambridge Checkpoint Skill 36. And that wraps up our explainer of this Smart Path Academy guide. Now that you know the secrets of genre recognition, honestly, you won't be able to turn them off. The next time you open a book, scan a news article, or even watch a movie, ask yourself, what are the clues and what exactly is the genre? Keep those detective eyes sharp, keep up the practice, and go ace that exam. Catch you next time.